Hello, hello. It's yet another live with someone who is living their best life abroad, but this time it's with someone who has a family with like children and real responsibilities. So, not just partying up in Thailand, but maybe she does. We gotta ask her about her parenting style and everything that she's learned as a mother with small children abroad. I get a lot of questions regarding how do you raise children abroad? And to be 100% honest, I have no idea because I have a cat. Oh, there we go. She has joined the live. I see people filing in. Come on down. I'm personally quite excited about it. I'm feeling a little frazzled because I've had so much to do today. But please bear with me as we get her dialed in. Um, Let me hear it in the chat. Do you have kids? Like, is this live particularly relevant for you, or are you just curious about what it takes to raise a family abroad? Drop in the comments if you have children, or maybe you're solo dolo and learning about what it takes to live abroad with or without children is kind of what you're interested in right now. We are just waiting for her to dial in. Come on down, triple passport. I'm going to wave to some people. There we go. Great, great, great. Oh, unable to join. Interesting. Okay, we'll just wait for her to. Okay, I've sent her the request to join my live. There we go.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, that was
Thank you so much.
dramatic.
It's totally fine. I'm actually gonna raise my light thingy a little bit.
Yes, my light went out. So this is, I'm
Oh.
with some natural light here.
Ah,
So,
yes, the not always the most flattering natural light,
no.
but I like the way you're working it right now.
So I'm in a window.
Ah, yes, yes. This is the great trick of influencers.
It's true.
I see lots of people piling in right now. Kathleen, why don't you go ahead and take this opportunity to introduce yourself, where you're from, where you're currently living, and how many passports you have.
Yeah, great. Thank you. My name is Kathleen Porter Christensen. My handle is obviously at Triple Passport. I am a mother of two. I'm a lawyer. I'm originally from Portland, Maine, in the US. I didn't leave the country till I was 19 years old when I went to France on my first year studying abroad. I went to college in Boston. And then I did 3 study abroads, kind of similar to a lot of you. Yeah.
Mm,
When I went to college fairs as a 17-year-old, I asked every college, when can I go abroad? Like, it was
amazing.
just my dream. Like, I only heard of a passport when I was 10. And I
Interesting.
know, it was the first time we did this thing in school, and I heard of passports and passport stamps and was
Mm,
like, I need one of those,
mm.
and I want some of those stamps because no one in my family had a passport.
Wow.
No, yeah,
Wow. Uh, Out of
yeah.
curiosity, where did you go to school in Boston?
Oh, so I went to Northeastern.
Okay, great. I went to
Um,
Boston College, so I'm right down the
oh,
road.
my brother went to BC, so
Oh, great.
I spent a lot of time up there. Yeah,
I'm
he's
sure he's
younger than me.
super annoying about it.
He's okay. He played
That's
football too,
kind.
so that made it more
Oh,
annoying, but
what
super fun.
what years was he at? Was he
He
there?
would have been like still 2000s because,
Okay.
I'm older. Um, so maybe like '06.
Oh six. Okay, that's a little bit beyond my
For
time.
you. '08 maybe. I don't know.
You're gonna have to keep going.
I love it. Yes, so I did 3 study abroads. I did France, like in Aix-en-Provence for language one. I then did London, which is how I got my taste of living here.
Mm,
And then I did, and I worked at the Parliament, and I did this amazing program called Hansard Scholars. So
mm,
really, it was at London School of Economics. I loved it. And then I wanted to do like a true study abroad, and I did New Zealand for my last
cool.
semester of college. And
Mm-hmm.
then after I graduated, I started working, and then I started looking into how can I live abroad again.
Mm.
As many of us do. And at the time, certainly the easiest way was going to be to go to school. And so I started looking into programs. I'd been a poli-sci major, said like, oh, maybe I could go to law school abroad, and then looked into going to law school here. And it turns out they pay you to go. So like many of you who are kind of younger and kind of working out these hacks these days, that was what I ended up doing. Is I came over here to England, and it was in 2005, which is a long time ago. And I went to law school, and then they gave me a visa to work for 2 years. And then I just kept kind of scrambling to get visas in a way that you sadly can't do here anymore. But you can in some ways. So, you've done a great job with that.
Yeah, the hustle is real when it comes to scrambling for visas. Like,
yes. And I will say, after I had my kids, I was home in America once and sweat in the night and was like, oh my gosh, when do we have to leave? Like, can my kids be here? And then I was like, oh my gosh, they're American. Like, like I just suddenly was like, I've got illegal and foreign children.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
no.
so weird not to be at like threat of deportation at all times. When I come into America, I'm so arrogant. I was like, excuse me, I have a passport.
I know. And if they don't say welcome home to me in Boston, there's like, I got attitude. Like, because once they were like, no, like, where's home? And I was like, this is home.
Yeah.
But
because you don't come with a Red Sox jersey into Logan.
Yeah, exactly. The kids have Red Sox hats. So,
okay. Perfect cultural chameleons then.
Yes, exactly. So cutting forward, I ended up marrying. There's lots of other things that happened. I worked for an American law firm, and what was great, and what I recommend to people who are looking to go to school, or when you have your own children and looking at colleges in Europe, it's so much less expensive. Really, the debt that we take on as Americans for higher ed is just so crippling. And
it really is.
Or is a huge burden and to start your life with. And then I just think, they offer schools over here that just don't cost the same amount. So,
well, if I could actually interrupt
please.
you real quick, I have a few targeted questions that my audience has hit me with in the DMs. So I kind of want to walk through the timeline, just so it's clear to everyone. So first, you started studying abroad through American academic institutions, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect. And then you did your law degree abroad. Which school was that?
So that was at a college here that's called BPP, and it's just it's a specific law school that feeds into the law firms in England. So there's some that are called College of Law, but it's not the traditional university. It's not like an LSE or Oxford, or it's almost a vocational program if you already have an undergraduate degree. So because law is an undergraduate degree in the United Kingdom, if you already have a degree, you can kind of do this add-on program that converts your degree to a law degree. So you do this one really intensive year, and then the second year is where you split off to be either a barrister or a solicitor. I'm a solicitor, which is kind of what you think of. So solicitors are what you think of with people writing contracts. And then barristers have the wigs and are in court. And that's just a whole scene.
That is a whole scene. You would look great in a white wig. Like, let me just tell you. Okay, so that could be a whole other live. Because I also did my master's degree abroad. And I know that that's a big interest point for lots of people. But we're not here to talk about all of your career and academic success.
It's true. You guys have that covered.
Unfortunately. No, there's always room for more stories to be told. But the real curiosity is, one, where did you meet your husband? Two, when did you have kids? And did you decide to raise them and have them be born in one country or another? And actually, let's stop right there and allow you to answer a few questions.
Yeah, so I met my husband in 2009. We'd
Mm-hmm.
each been in London for 5 years on our
Mm-hmm.
own and then met here. We were set up on a blind date. I know. It was
Love
good.
it.
And actually I was set up by this wonderful woman who I met at a wedding, who was Chinese and half Chinese. And she was like, no, I'm a matchmaker. Really, it's in my blood. Like, I'm going to set you up with this guy. And
Mm,
my first question was, does he like Americans?
mm,
Because I'd experienced a fair amount. I see it less now. I mean, I'm also
mm,
not remotely on the dating scene. Um, but, you know, there's a fair bit of just attitude
mm,
sometimes,
mm.
towards Americans, by the lovely Brits. And so I was excited that he was Norwegian. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Mm.
And they were like, no, he likes Americans. So I was like, okay. Um, and then he was asking, does she ski?
Of
And
course. Oh,
I
I
was
get
like,
that question.
thank goodness, like for my little ski lessons at Shawnee Peak in, outside of Portland, Maine.
Yeah,
So they really paid off. Um,
I'm glad. They
that
must have been expensive. So congratulations.
No, well, no, they weren't. They were like an after school rec program. So
Oh, that's super good.
it was really good. They still do it. So shout out to
Mm-hmm.
Portland Rec. Um, but so when we were always talking about where we're going to live. We're still talking about it. So I don't think
Mm,
that's a conversation that goes away, probably for people that are even from, different states,
mm,
or, for all couples, but certainly when you're
mm,
an international couple, and it's put a lot more pressure on us with the pandemic
mm,
because, we had it really good that we were able to see all our family all the time.
mm,
So we kind of have really done, uh, before this, we were able to spend time in all three countries.
mm. Oh,
Um,
wow.
and but when deciding where to have the children,
Mm,
so first of all, I did, IVF. Well,
okay.
I didn't anyway. I did fertility treatment, and
Mm-hmm.
one thing in England is they do cover a lot of your first, if it's the first child for both you and your partner, and a
Mm,
bunch of other things to qualify on the NHS. They'll help you with your first round of fertility treatments.
mm.
And that was just a huge benefit,
That's amazing.
of being here. And I really believe strongly in national health. And it was great to have, even though it was this wild experience compared to what, my friends in the States have, kind of as
Mm,
far as I was in a shared, not for the birth, but afterwards, I was in a shared room,
mm.
and it was just like they're just trying to get you out of there. But then you
Yeah.
just walk out, like you don't ever give an insurance card. You don't even really give your name. Like you
Yeah,
just
they're
want
just
to
like,
take
this is
this
a
baby.
pregnant woman. She needs our help. Let her through.
Yeah, like, and so then, and I think the NHS is one of, I mean, it's made just such the difference also for when
Mm,
I decided to do this and go freelance.
mm.
We had the medical benefit kind of built
Yes.
in.
Yeah.
And I think that's been a huge reason that we've stayed.
Mm, mm,
Um, and then, yeah, so our children, I became British when I was
mm-hmm,
pregnant.
mm-hmm.
I just really pushed for the process to continue, and I just wanted that to be really seamless for the kids.
Yep.
And so then I have US and UK, and then my husband is Norwegian, and then
Mm-hmm.
so the kids have three, which is where my username of Triple
Triple
Passport comes
passport.
from, my brand.
Yes.
Um, and it's also been really fun to have them in the British education system,
Mm,
and it's made me feel a lot more English.
mm-hmm.
Um,
I bet.
and and but then we can also go into more questions of how we keep them connected too.
Oh, you're breaking up a little bit. There you are.
Sorry.
Okay. It's okay.
Okay.
Could we talk real quick about enrolling children in schools in the United Kingdom? Because
I try to tell people that it's just like enrolling children in the United States, but no one seems to believe me. So, am I talking a bunch of shite? Oh, you are buffering. Give it a second. Or maybe it's me that's buffering. Drop in the chat if it's Kathleen who's buffering or if it's me who's buffering, just so I can take my iPhone off of the internet if it is me. Help me out, guys. Let me know if it's me that's buffering. Oh, triple passport left. Okay, so I think it was her that was buffering, but let's wait for her to get back. Yeah, we've lost her. Are you guys finding this Q&A helpful? Do you think if there's anything else that you would want answered while we're here with someone who has experience with raising children abroad and not just a cat like myself? But to be fair, this is a very high maintenance cat. Hello, you're back.
Yeah, I'm feeling like a high maintenance guest.
Okay.
So how it works in the UK.
Mm.
So I'm going to speak specifically to London. So also I can get in a lot of trouble. I speak a lot about the UK or England. I have only lived in London. So although I do know a bit more about Southern England, really I'm speaking about London because it's, you know, it varies. In London, you can either go to a private school and or pay for a private school. You do for the private nurseries, which is daycare, you do have to sign up very, very early, either when you're pregnant or you know, right away. But there's many options and it's competitive, but it's a wait list. And then it's really just with your first kid because the second kid gets in based on the first kid. So after you've done, and it is very expensive for when they're really little.
Yeah.
And
in
that's
Brixton,
where,
it was 1,800 per child in the new like fancy nursery with like drones and such. And these children are like 6 months years old.
Yes, it's now past 2,000 in my neighborhood. So
what neighborhood are you again?
So I don't usually, so in towards central London.
Okay, so zone 1, 2.
I am zone 2. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So, but barely zone 2. But yes, so it's just crossed over the 2 grand mark. So that definitely was, but school starts earlier. So you can do the private schools, which cost less than the US, cost a lot less. However, the state schools are amazing. Issue is you have to live very, very close. So I can currently throw a rock and hit my kid's school because what we decided to do is move. You can move very close to the school and you will get in. And that's what we decided to do to get free education. And because I went to, you know, public school growing up, meaning public in the US sense, then 3-year-old
no, you're
went
buffering.
to,
There we go.
There we go. There's definitely the competitive side, or the selective side.
Oh no, you're buffering again. Quick sidebar while we wait for Kathleen to hop back on. In Germany, we actually have something called Kindergeld, which is money that the German government gives to a mother per child. And so I think it's 200 euros for the first child, and then it goes up incrementally as you have more children. But people often use this money, this Kindergeld, to pay for nursery here in Germany. But the problem that comes with nursery in Germany is it's also very competitive. So sometimes the nursery near you doesn't have availability, so you can't find space for your child in that nursery, and you potentially have to go private or maybe further down the road. There you are. Hello. I was just explaining Kindergeld. Oh, there we go. You're back.
This is, I'm very sorry.
Don't worry about it.
So we move, you can live very close and get into state school is what, and that's called, as I saw someone put up. It's called the catchment
Mm-hmm.
area.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also the very selective schools, which means you need to take exams to get into them.
Mm-hmm.
And that point happens at either 4, 7, 11, or 16.
Mm-hmm.
And we did, for my oldest son, he did go through the exams when he was 3, which was just this unbelievable experience that made me realize I am not cut out for selective school for my young children. It just doesn't bring out the best in me.
Yeah, I bet.
I was already kind of, trying to push him, basically, because he couldn't write his full name. And I don't know, but some kids are really, it's great for them. It's great for their families. But I really like their school. So I think it's actually been a major reason that we've stayed.
Is it a public school or do you pay for it? Okay, cool.
Nope. So if you live close enough, you get into it's all based on distance. There are some other criteria, and then you have, such as, and then with siblings, and sometimes there are religious schools, and so you need to be baptized or be part of that religion and need to prove how far back, not that you did it just to get into the school.
We would never do something like that.
I know, as they notice their attendance go up.
Yeah, no kidding. Whatever you gotta do to take care of your kids, I completely understand. And that if that's changed religions, we will not judge you.
No, I mean, there's a lot of good Church of England and in schools here, and both Christian and Roman Catholic schools that are free. So
could we talk a little bit about the process of getting local documentation for your kids? Because as an adult, I had to go to the police station and register my existence. I had to give my biometrics, which means my fingerprints, my picture. Is it as rigorous to enroll small people into the system?
That's interesting. I think it's a bit easier because they were born here. So because they were born with all 3 passports, the biggest thing that we deal with is when the passports renew.
Yes.
And we're now switching our schedule so that all 3 of us Americans, so that we all renew at the same time. Because it's too much to be going to the embassy every other year.
Yeah.
Between mine and the kids. And they renew every 5 years versus an adult that is every 10 years. So that it's the hardest one is the American passport. And because you have to go in person, and that was a lot of documentation for getting them. For any American who's done a birth abroad, you get this very fancy certificate of birth. So rather than the $10 birth certificate that I can get kind of at the Portland, Maine City Hall, they have this, I think it's $200, certificate, this golden embossed certificate that the embassy rolls out that you have to buy to prove their birth as an American abroad. But then they also have their local birth certificate. So it's easy. It hasn't been too bad. I will say the Norwegian embassy is very easy. We can kind of just go all together, and they do need me to be there every time. So oftentimes you need both parents. You need someone else to co-sign who's known you for a long time and
really
says, I know, that says that they are your kids, but just a random person, like your doctor.
Okay. Just to say, just a stranger on the street.
No, but it's a list of occupations. So an architect, or England's very funny.
Yeah, that's super bizarre. I remember when we were trying to get married in the UK, they wanted, one of the rules was to nail a announcement to the local church wall for 30 days because neither of us were citizens. Did you have that as well?
No, but we got married in the US.
Okay, yeah, that's what we
So
ended up doing too. We're just like, I'm not letting the government tell me what I can do. Sorry.
yeah, I did notice because here, I mean, we would have ended up doing at a town hall because I think
Yeah.
they're gorgeous and they're one of the places, but you can't just get married wherever you want,
Mm-mm.
you know, as they've now explained with Meghan and Harry, that they
Ugh.
couldn't have been married in the backyard because Americans don't understand that you can't get married wherever you want.
Yeah, no kidding.
You
That's
can't get married in
exhausting.
backyards. So.
If someone is moving for the first time with children to a new country, what's one piece of advice that you would have for them?
So I think the most important thing is to sort out the schools.
Mm,
Even though, I mean, but still think about things are a little different now with commutes.
hmm
I think, you know, you don't have to, possibly it opens up a little bit more
mm,
of getting kind of having a bit further you can live. But I would say focus where you live on your family life rather than your work life, as we've
mm.
learned from the last year anyway.
Yeah.
That you want to make sure that you're happy in your neighborhood because and then I think yes, trying and being nimble.
Mm,
I think if you need to move for schools, then you do it, and getting them settled. As much as we think they're super adaptable, and they are, they can really make your life pretty tough if they're not happy. And, you know, no one's happy if they're not happy.
yeah.
So it's, you know, getting them settled is really important. And just having local parks and looking at what the neighborhood looks like. And then, as you do with lots of different international opportunities, joining local Facebook groups.
Mm,
You can find people probably on Instagram, but
mm,
I think that Facebook's really good for that, with finding
yeah.
local groups and finding out what's going on.
And what about the logistics of enrolling in a school? Do you just like walk up to the principal's office and you're like, I now live here? What does that look like?
So you do a lot of school tours.
Okay, that's
And
cool.
that, yeah, it is cool. And you kind of get a feel for both what you like and then what
Mm,
you think your kid will like. Because I will say, with my oldest, I wanted a quiet, with both my husband and I, we wanted a quiet, academic, Montessori, you know, really fancy school, like
mm,
wooden toys, gorgeous aesthetic. That's, you know, that's what I wanted.
yeah.
And my oldest son was not happy.
Yeah.
He wanted plastic and noise and chaos. And
Yep.
he was so happy when we moved him from the small Montessori school to the state, meaning public,
Mm,
kind of 3-year-old program.
hmm
Because another great thing in England is that you can start often, from age 3. They can be in public education.
hmm
So it's just, that's so young.
Yeah.
But to have subsidized education from 3 is a huge benefit. I know the first few years are very expensive,
Mm,
but I do recommend for women to try to hold out if you can keep your career. It's really hard though, because
yeah.
you have a full year off. So
Yep.
that's,
We get 2 years here in Germany.
Oh, that's really nice.
Mm,
Yeah, same in Sweden.
mm,
Um, I know Norway does a little bit more than that. And I will say the UK, it's not as generous as the rest of Europe
mm,
with maternity leave. You
yeah.
can take the full year, but often it's only paid for 6 weeks.
Yeah. I think
So,
there's limitations for the 2 years as well, but the full year is paid and then the government subsidizes after that, I want to say. We have a quick question about the Norwegian citizenship that your children
mm,
have. Is that going to allow them to maintain access to Europe and all the opportunities to move and live around in the EU?
yeah, it does. I mean, I think that UK will as well. I mean, we're still waiting for all of that to be ironed out,
Mm,
but Norwegian is good. They, you know, it's considered EEA,
mm,
which is the European
European.
Economic Area,
Yep.
which was also a route that I could have taken
Mm,
with immigration as an
mm,
EEA partner. And
mm,
it's actually a very it's much less expensive
Yep.
way
That's
to
the
do
route
it.
I went.
Yeah. But it was something about, I had to mail my passport away for a long time. And I also really wanted to get my immigration on my own. I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, I got to be British and I wouldn't have ever been British the other way. However, yeah. So I think, so they will continue with kind of EEA rights. It's interesting with their Norwegian passport, that's the one where they have to, Norwegians can't acquire more citizenship. So it's very, but if you're born with them, it's okay. So it's very rare to be a dual or triple citizen as a Norwegian. And when they are 21, they have to reapply for their Norwegian citizenship and kind of prove that they're Norwegian enough to get.
That's brutal.
I know, it's brutal. So there are various things like speaking the language, which they don't do.
Yeah.
But with having visited enough, if you've lived there for a year, if you can just prove strong ties, they don't want people to have access to their education system and later on their pension system.
Oh, yeah.
Who have no ties to the country and just happen to have been born to a Norwegian parent.
They're too smart.
That would be, yeah, they really are. I was like, that's interesting that like at 21, you, have to, well, American, you can't shake it. So
that's a whole like other live as well.
True.
That I'm sure we'll get organized at some point. But Kathleen, we are actually coming to the end of our live. Thank you so much for being here and joining me. Could you let everyone know where they could find you on different social platforms and anything you might have coming up in the very near future?
Oh, thank you for that. You can definitely find me here on Instagram at Triple Passport. I have a website that's triplepassport.com. I write for a variety of different sites that I will always promote. Don't you worry. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll find them out. I have a newsletter that if you click in my bio, you can sign up for. And I've been trying the Clubhouse, but as you can see, my internet's not always great. So Clubhouse has not been working. I'm on Twitter. I'm all over the place. So at Triple Passport. And thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no problem. And don't stress about Clubhouse. I'm sure Instagram is going to copy what they're doing and just roll it out here. So
they are good at doing that.
They are.
And I'm over on TikTok trying my best.
Oh, well, you and I can dance on TikTok.
I'll be pointing.
Okay, good. Well, thank you again, Kathleen. I will definitely upload this replay for all of my followers to enjoy, and hopefully we can get some of your people to watch it as well. And Absolutely. I will see you on the internet.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.